I could feel the warmth that the sun gave off, and how the cool grass under me wicked that warmth away ever so slightly. All this in the midst of me coughing and choking up water that came from the depths of my lungs. Of all the ways I've come to this place, drowning was so far the worst. I flopped onto my side and threw up, my body retching to purge every last drop of the foul water as the sensation of freezing took over. The sensation didn't last long, but it was just enough that I had to ask why I couldn't have found 42 in summer. The only thing that persisted was that I can classify as the worst headache that I had ever had. Backlash? Is that you? A voice spoke up from behind me. It was strange. It almost sounded like... But how can this be? We were just at the bridge. I opened my eyes to find the confused gaze of Isaac looking around. Isaac? I sputtered out and groaned as I put my hooves underneath me. What the fuck are you doing here? The gears in my head started spinning slowly, but the shock of seeing him was slow to wear off, and I just stared at him in disbelief. Wait, I remember! In an instant he had the widest smile I'd ever seen on him, as he looked like he was about to rocket into the air with excitement. I know! I am Zelos. I remember growing up with Mother, Father, and how Zin cared for me. My job from during the war, the day we were accepted into the program. His gaze drifted from me to the grin on his muzzle, as it dropped ever so slowly. What the war did to Mom and Dad. The days after the end. He sat down in the dirt with a thump, his eyes tearing up as he sniffed. What I did at the mine, and how I hurt ponies. Snap out of it! I hit him hard, planting my forehoof right on his side of his muzzle. It was great and all that he had his memories back, but the thought of him being here weighed too heavily on me. He's dying back in the real world. That's the only way Pinky said to get here, isn't it? Think for me, Isaac. How did you end up here? He shook his head and rubbed at his face. I do not know. I spotted you as you fell from the bridge. When I did not see you surface, I took one of the oxygen tanks from my boat and went in after you. I used it to send you to the surface right before... He stopped and put a hoof to the end of his muzzle. Did we die? Is this what the afterlife is like? Close. Half afterlife, actually. I rolled my eye and pointed a forehoof towards the path I always traveled. We just have to find Pinky. Maybe she can explain why you came this time with me. I held my hoof towards Isaac, happy to feel him grab it as he got back to his hooves. I have no idea why he was with me, but there had to be a good reason. She's probably at the table over those hills. Come on. No sooner had I finished speaking, when the upbeat tune of an old-world polka started up and down the path, reinforcing my assumption. The breeze kicked up as we started to walk, bringing with it the smells of sweets and frosted treats. Isaac took a deep breath of it, and relaxed as he took it in. The scent must have brought up good memories, because I could see the worry and tension on his face melt away as he walked. He had been around before the war, so he must have at one time had actual pastries, ones that had real cake and treats that weren't over a century old. As we crested the familiar hill that overlooked the table, I looked down to find an unexpected scene playing out. Thank you, Miss Pinky. The punch is lovely. Zin was sitting with a small cup in her hooves, smiling as she sat across the table from a bouncing young filly. In the same moment it took for my blood to boil, Isaac had dashed down the slope and caught Zin off guard with a hug. She caught me standing on the hill and offered up a nervous smile. Pinky! What the fuck is she doing here? My anger made the gears in my head grind, only serving to remind me that how my skull felt like it was about to split apart. Why is every pony in this place? I sat down and pushed my hooves at my head, hoping that somehow it would relieve the pressure. Unsurprisingly, it did little to help. She came for the party! Duh! Pinky giggled with a snort and bounced across the table, jumping and belly-flopping into a multi-layered striped cake. The sugary confection all but exploded into a shower of dark and white-colored bits, making it just far enough to get on my hooves, while nearly coating Isaac completely. Pinky re-emerged from the mound of the cake by eating her way out of it, licking her lip before flashing her smile at me again. Who wouldn't want their own sister to show up at their welcome party to the afterlife? Brother-sister reunion. Backlash? Isn't it a very last visit party? I mean, come on, silly. What fun would that be? So, his death was why he was here after all. I swung my gaze over to Isaac, who was slicking the frosting off his coat, as a more somber look fell across his face. So, we are dead then. You are, but you have saved that one's life. Zin used her hoof to turn his gaze to me, joining in with a note of shame on her own. I am sorry for what I did to you back at the mountain. I know now that your offer was genuine, and that I was the engineer of my own demise. I thank you for helping my brother as you did. I wanted to ask her why she hadn't taken me up on the offer, or if she understood just what she was putting the workers in the mines through, but it wasn't the time. I turned to Pinky as the gears in my head unjammed themselves, throwing an idea out. Pinky, if this is the halfway point of the afterlife, wouldn't that mean that Isaac isn't dead? If there was a way to get back to the real world and save him, I had to at least try. The only response I got from Pinky was her shoving her face into the punch bowl and slurping loudly. Send me back. I have to try to save him. Backlash. Isaac walked up and put his hoof on me. Waking up here was disorientating, but I remember that in saving you, I could not escape the falling roadway, and my mental body was crushed by debris. I know I am dead, but now I can finally rest with my family. I'm sorry. Another friend dead at my hooves, all because of my stupid ideas to go at 42. You have nothing to apologize for. For the first time in a long time, I can feel the breeze in my mane, the sun on my skin, and enjoy the feeling of soil under my hooves. I looked up to see him smiling. Not even a hint of sorrow could be found anywhere across his face. Do not think of this as a failure. These things are a gift Zin and I have waited for over a century to receive. Thank you, my friend. He pat me on the shoulder, turned and walked down the hill to where Zin was standing. He took his place by her side before waving to me, as if to say goodbye. Then I blinked, and they were gone. The wind whistled through the hills and into my ears. Mating me was the only sound left. The music fell silent the moment they left, and without notice the party supplies and remains of the cake had disappeared as well. The only thing that remained on the table was Pinky. I hope you don't mind that I cleaned up, but you should have all the cake you want when you come back. Not to mention, I have another party to prepare for. Pinky let out a yawn before stretching herself out in the sun and swinging down to the horizon before abruptly stopping just above it, casting the surrounding hills in the most luxurious shade of orange I had ever seen. It was so stunning it almost made me overlook what she had just said. When I come back. I thought this was the last time I was going to be here. I scrunched on my muzzle. Even though I don't exactly get where here is per se, or why I even come here at all. Tell me, do you remember that your Auntie Pie was once the bearer of an element of harmony? She spread her forehooves out as she sat on the table, making a grand gesture. The magic that they come from made this place a personal paradise outside of heaven for those who personify an element. Their own bastion of solitude, if you will. So, I personify an element, and this place is mine? It would explain why I've had this feeling like I could stay here forever. Pinky snickered at my question. Not quite. This place was made for me. You being family, though, is why you feel the longing for it deep down inside of you. Us pies are fairly simple ponies, and this place has everything we'd ever want. She put her hooves down and tapped at the table for me to come to her. I walked over and took a seat on the bench, stretching out as well as an enormous sense of relaxation came over me. I have been using this as a vacation home for the afterlife. Even the Grand Master of Parties needs to have some time to herself every now and then. I can see even Yor found the merits of a little downtime here. So, if it was made for you, how come ponies like me can come here? Or why is it that Isaac was here? Normally I would say because Pinkie Pie, but she said this was different, and without that clause, my curiosity just can't let it be. Any pony who has our gift can come here when they die, but ponies whose souls are at rest or weakened from injury can be brought here as well. And that's why I haven't brought you here when you were awake. She let out another yawn, and raised her hoof to the sky, twisting it counterclockwise and lifting the sun back up into the sky. With the amber light of sunlight gone, I felt more relaxed, but no longer tired. It's super easy. All you have to do is reel them in. Which reminds me, I've got a pony to retrieve here soon, so we're going to have to wrap this up. Wait, how do you even... I should have expected it, but she caught me off mid-sentence. Fishing pole! She leaned forward and ran her hoof along the other side of the table, retrieving a flashy silver and red metal fishing rod. Of course it is. I deadpanned and face-hoofed. You know, you still didn't answer my original question. What did you mean that I would return? What? But I did answer it. She looked at me with a confused look before her ears picked up. Did I start speaking in emotes again? I hate when I lapse into that language. It's not nearly as fun as I thought it would be. Speaking of confetti on the other hoof. No, you spoke fine. I just don't understand. My headache returned with a vengeance, and I suddenly wished that she could turn the sun back to its relaxing position. You said this was my last visit. Is it? Or not? Metal? What was I thinking? This will never hold up to somebody her size. She tossed the metal rod over her shoulder and rummaged around to the table again, this time pulling up a simple-looking bamboo rod, out clenched in her forelock. I mean what I said. It is your last visit. She looked up at me with a soft smile. Every pony dies someday, Backlash. Even great-great-great-great-great-grandsons. But my home is your home. Mikasa is Sukasa. When you return, you may use this space however you please. Then, you have to let me know when. How? I don't care that you lied to me about knowing the future, but you know how this is going to play out. I can't beat 42 without your help, Pinkie. How? I was silenced when she shoved her hoof into my muzzle. Ah! Spoilers! She giggled and stuck her tongue out at me. I'm sorry, but I'm going to have to send you back. Your friend is a pretty big gal, and she needs to be here to plan the party. So I need to get lifting before I see you in a few minutes from now. Well, past you, in any case. I blinked as the gears in my head shoved the memory of Harmony a few weeks ago back into the forefront of my mind. I wanted to tell her to wait, to let me see her again. I know what I said last time, but I could keep the promise now. 6 months would be worth it just to see her again. But as she shook her hoof and bopped my muzzle, the only thing that came out of it was a scream as my chest ebbed with pain, and I once again fell into the darkness between the worlds. The first thing that greeted me when I woke up was the feeling of warmth. The crackling of a small fire nearby must have been the source of the heat. Meanwhile, the world around me seemed deathly quiet otherwise. As I opened my eye, I was met with a flickering interior of some old world building. The crackling posters urged me to join the Equestrian Navy, giving me a good hint at this place was once used for. As good as it felt to be near a fire, I was dying, and I had to get back to the others. Moving myself, I found was a bit more annoying than I'd thought it would be, as my chest erupted in pain, making me grind my teeth as I looked down. The skin across my chest and belly had completely stripped off, and the bloody muscle had been bandaged with discolored bandages that matched the coloration of the ones that were wrapped around my leg. Mercifully, I found that I was still wearing my saddlebags, and the quick fear that whomever had saved me was going to keep me as prisoner died out. Instantly, my mind was filled with questions, and the gears in my head simply couldn't keep up as my headache came in the form of a pinching sensation at the base of my skull. Had somebody rescued me from the water? How was I injured? Did the others at least succeed in stopping 42? The soft notes of a song came from outside, increasing steadily as I tweaked my good ear to hear the voice better. I turned my head to the rotten wooden door that led out of the room as the gears in my head ground to a halt, and at the same moment the pain in my head moved back to my eye. No, it wasn't just some pony outside. That was the same voice I had just gotten back from listening to, only it was missing every ounce of innocence in its joyous tune. I can't decide whether you should live or die. 42's singing was getting closer to me, sounding as if she hadn't a care in the damn world. Oh, you'll probably go to heaven. Please don't hang your head and cry. The door flung open as I scrambled through the pain to get to my hooves and found myself lunging for the closest object I could use as a weapon. I knew it was you, 42! I raised the rusted sheet metal stool I now had grasped to my fetlock, backing away from her as she deadpanned at me. She was balancing on her rear hooves as she held a pile of dry but dingy-looking redwood scraps. Yeah, of course it's me. How incredibly observant you are. She took a few steps towards me as she spoke, dumping the wood into the fire. If you're wondering about your chest, you could thank the oxygen tank that froze to it. It was a bitch to rip off, but it made you so much easier to carry. That made sense, and I probably should have known that was the case. Isaac told me about the tank, and the freezing effect is just basic science. The really odd thing about all this is that I wasn't quite expecting this kind of casualness to 42. She always seemed like she didn't care about things, but this was almost normal behavior. Still, this was a chance to end this, even if I got myself killed trying to beat her to death with a rusted half-stool. There was still a chance. Put that thing down, Backlash. We both know that isn't going to happen. She rolled her eyes and finally fell back onto all fours. I couldn't help but stop from going forward with my horribly thought-out plan, my brain urging me to listen this time to see if it really was a bad idea, as I thought it would be. You'll try to attack me, I'll dodge and run away, probably yelling something like, "Bring me the pond, Backlash!" and then we won't see each other again for about a week. I lowered the stool as she inspected her hoof with a disinterest and droned on monotonously. Then we'll do the same thing all over again. Is that really what you want? I just find it hard to believe you aren't trying to kill me, and in fact save my life when you could have let me freeze to death out there. I dropped the stool, but the muscles in my legs didn't relax, winding themselves tighter the longer I looked at her. I doubt it was just so you could strike up friendly dialogue with the pony who hates you the most. She faked a shocked expression, complete with a gasp. How could you think that? We're family, you and I, and family cares for each other. She dropped the act and now wore a sly smile. Oh, Backlash, you know me too well. You see, the real reason is it's nearly Hearthswarming Eve, and I'm just so caught up in the spirit of it all. Now, I don't know how you do it in the wastelands nowadays, but gift exchanges are a pretty big thing in the holidays. I give you your life, and in return, I want to get something from you. I opened my muzzle to object, but she shot me a glare that froze my body still. No, let me finish. She sat down by the fire, shifting her eyes to the crackling flames. As you already know by now, I've got some friends over at the Red Wing mine. They've probably busted down the walls and taken the town as I asked. She looked up to me with nothing but happiness coursing through her as she spoke, her eyes betraying the amount of pleasure she took in flaunting her actions over me. I asked them to take as many of the residents there alive as they could. but I'm pretty sure they might deviate from my orders and torture a few of them to death before you arrive. Why the fuck are you telling me this? I slowly paced myself across the fire from her, wincing as my chest burned in the warmth air. This was my only move now. My mind told me that sitting down and listening was my best option of survival. If Skyline saw me fall, then she'll definitely be out looking for me. Well, I hope she was. All I can do is try and keep 42 engaged to buy some time for any pony to find us. You know, you really are damn impatient. I'm getting to that part. She scoffed in faint offense before turning her gaze to the fire. As of now, it's 2 days until Hearthwarming Eve. You have until then to receive my gift. We have the only part you need to make the machine work, and only I know the location of the pond. I had no idea if Longbow actually made it to the part, but the guess was forcing me to wonder if 42 was really becoming impatient with me. If I can keep up the pressure on her, sooner or later she'll slip in her anger, and only if I work her over with my antagonistic side. Why the fuck would I play any more of your games? I won and you lost. 2 days from now, I'll have destroyed the pond, and your future goes with it. Her muzzle twitched in irritation as she listened to me, her mane drooping until it lay flat before she stomped her hoof down and let out a growl. I grow tired of your refusal to cooperate. After midnight strikes that day, I won't bother you with the games anymore. It'll be all business. Let me be the first to tell you that you haven't even seen a fraction of what I'm capable of. And what do I care? I laughed at her, watching as her face turned brighter than the fire separating us. You've killed so many already, true. But the entirety of the wasteland after you, how long do you think you can last? And this sort of threat worked on Sherbert. Maybe it could work on 42. Her ears perked, and she adapted a calm smile. Because I know you're kind. I know the way you heroes think. She stood up and waved her hoof at me. Forget the deadline. That's future Backlash's problem. What you need to focus on now... She shook her head with a note of disappointment. I really didn't think I needed to threaten anybody else. But did you forget I also have 2 days to take what you care for the most? I hate to stoop so low when I have to tell you what fun it is that I'll have if you don't get me what I want. No, wait. I don't hate to say it. She threw her head back with a maniacal cackle. Enough. I get it. I know what's at stake. And if only my damn pip-buck was working, I could fucking end her right here and now. But she was right that I didn't want to see this end in a bloodbath. Enough had lost their lives due to my actions. You'll get your gift, but you still haven't told me where to meet you. Oh, of course. How silly of me to have forgotten. She tapped herself on the head a few times. I'll be waiting at home, which you know where that is, right? When you get to the orchard, I'll make sure my fun-loving friends don't harm you, provided, of course, you have my present. She whipped herself around to face the door and tilted her head back to let the mane fall from in front of her eye. The look she gave me was full of loathing and anger, but the smile across her muzzle was sadistic and filled me with no small amount of fear. One last thing before I go. Besides your life, I got you another 2 gifts. If you're a good pony and bring me what I want, you can have one of them. I know you'll love it. And even though I hate to spoil the surprise, it's the one-on-one fight that you've been craving. No tricks, no traps. Just you and me to the death. Then I'll see you in 2 days. The gears in my head spun as they tried to formulate a plan for them. With a click from the door latch, pushed them to the back of my head. As she opened the door, I quickly shoved my hoof into my saddlebag, digging around until I felt the boxy form of Heartstopper. Drawing it out as she walked into the cold night air, I chomped down on the bit and prayed that I could kill her here and now, and potentially saving the lives of Redwing. The disappointing click that came from it could only be heard all the way out in Friendship City. though I should have known that she would go through all my guns and unload them. The only sound that filled the night air came from 42. "Bring me the pond, Backlash!" Her words echoed throughout the still ruins of the city, dropping off into silence as the quiet stillness of the night took over again. I spit a hot stopper onto the floor and hung my head. I let out a deep sigh. Fuck.